A very good evening and welcome to the news tonight here on Sabha TV. We will get you the day's top stories from India and across the world. I'm Tracy Shilshi, and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you all the details and also those heated debates that we saw in the upper house today. But first, the headlines. Rail budget balances populism and need for finances, a no increase in passenger fares, focus on completing ongoing projects. There are mixed reactions to the rail budget. Prime Minister Modi says it caters to all sections, but the opposition insists that it lacks vision. In Rajya Sabha, HRD Minister Smriti Irani and the opposition engage in a war of words over Rohit Vemula's suicide and the JNU issue. CPM Sitaram Yechuri accuses the Modi government of partisan intervention. The army arrests Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist Sadiq Gujjar and 5 associates from Baramulla. Gujjar is accused in the attack on an army camp in Kanghar. And Syrian opposition agrees to temporary ceasefire of 2 weeks. Turkey and Saudi Arabia question Russia's commitment to the deal. Let's start with the railway budget for the financial year 2016-17, which was presented in Lok Sabha today. Rail Minister Suresh Prabhu said that his budget reflects the aspirations of the common people, and that's why he spared passengers and goods movement from any increase in the tariffs. He also announced introduction of 3 new superfast trains and creation of dedicated north-south, east-west and east coast freight corridors by 2019. Besides that, he also proposed a slew of people-friendly initiatives. Here are the details.
Presenting his second budget since assuming charge, Railway Minister Suresh Prabhu walked a tightrope between populist measures and the urgent need for finances for the cash-strapped railways.
These are challenging times, maybe one of the toughest. We are faced with 2 headwinds, entirely beyond our control: tepid growth of our economy's core sectors due to international slowdown and a looming impact of the 7th Pay Commission.
In his nearly 1-hour-long speech, he announced an increased capital plan of 1.21 lakh crore rupees for the next financial year, with a focus on capacity creation in the rail sector. Rather than announcing new projects, he stressed on the need to complete the ongoing ones.
A saving of 8,720 crores from the budget estimates last year will be effected this year, neutralizing the most of the revenue shortfall.
In a big relief to commuters, Prabhu left passenger and freight fares unchanged. He stressed on enhancing customer experience, announcing several measures like smarter ticketing, a clean my coach service through SMS, automatic doors, accessible dustbins and entertainment screens in train coaches, hot water and milk booths at railway stations, and even babysitting facilities for new mothers travelling in trains. For the disabled, he proposed a Sarthi Seva facility at railway stations and construction of more disabled-friendly toilets. For senior citizens, the minister announced a 50% increase in seat quota. 33% reservation for women within the reserved quota has also been proposed.
Every customer is our brand ambassador, the very reasons of our existence. Therefore, each time that he or she travels, the satisfaction quotient must go up.
In a bid to win back customers, the rail minister announced 3 new superfast trains with better passenger facilities. For improving the quality of travel for unreserved passengers, he proposed a superfast Antyodaya Express service.
For the reserved passengers, we are starting 3 new products: Humsafar, Tejas and Uday. Humsafar would be fully air-conditioned 3rd AC service with an optional service for meals. Tejas, on the other hand, will showcase the future of train travel in India. Operating at a speed of 130 kilometers per hour and above, it will offer onboard services such as entertainment, local cuisine, Wi-Fi, etc. We will also introduce overnight double-decker Uday Express on the busiest route, which has the potential to increase carrying capacity by almost 40%.
New tracks of up to 2,800 kilometers will be commissioned during 2016-17. This, Prabhu said, is much higher than the average of 200 kilometers of tracks added per year since independence. In order to enable fair pricing, the minister also announced setting up of a Rail Development Authority.
With these words, Madam Speaker, I commend the railway budget to the August House.
In the end, Prabhu expressed hopes to generate a revenue to the tune of 1.84 lakh crore rupees in the sector. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi praised Suresh Prabhu for presenting what he called a people-centric budget. He said that the railway budget caters to all sections of society and is an impeccable step towards the country's growth.
गरीबों के लिए सुपरफास्ट ट्रेन की विशेष व्यवस्था करते हुए अंत्योदय एक्सप्रेस एवं दीनदयालु रेल डब्बों की शुरुआत हमारी सरकार की गरीबों की प्रति प्रतिबद्धता स्पष्ट करती है। रेलवे में आईटी सहित नई टेक्नोलॉजी, अधिक पूंजी निवेश एवं अमलीकरण को असरदार बनाते हुए यह रेल बजट देश की अर्थव्यवस्था में दूरगामी सकारात्मक योगदान करेगा।
Now, while the government has praised the railway budget, the opposition, of course, is calling it just an eyewash. They are, in fact, alleging that the current government has derailed the entire sector and also lamented that nothing is new and nothing new has been, in fact, announced.
How the latest technologies and other things should be used, how cleanliness, how more services should be given to the passengers, that has been taken care of by this budget. Certainly, it will yield a good result in the coming future.
अपने के लिए क्रेडिट लेने की कोशिश की है कि हमें डेडिकेटेड फ्रेट कॉरिडोर, वो बताया है कि नई चीज़ शायद बहुत पहले की है, वो डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी ने बहुत साल पहले लुधियाना में आके उसके लिए उसकी शुरुआत की थी।
विजनरी बजट यह माना जाएगा और रेलवे के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट के लिए कई प्रभावी कदम रेल मंत्री श्री सुरेश प्रभु जी ने उठाए हैं। मैं मानता हूं कि अपने में एक विशेष प्रकार का यह बजट है।
I am indeed very happy that this present railway budget presents an entirely new roadmap of growth, of inclusion, pro-poor, Antyodaya, including non-reserved trains for common people with good facilities and also good development of infrastructure. We are very happy railway as an important area of infrastructure would get a new boost.
इस साल के बजट में भी दिखता है कि किस तरीके से आप एग्जिस्टिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को कंसोलिडेट करने की बात करते हैं। आप बहुत सारी नई योजनाओं की घोषणा नहीं करते जिसके मायने भी नहीं है। हम लोग देख रहे हैं पिछले 8 साल से 10 साल से लंबित योजनाएं अभी तक धरातल पे नहीं उतरी हैं। तो नई योजनाओं की घोषणा करने से ज्यादा जरूरी है कि जो घोषणाएं हो चुकी हैं वो सही मायने पे धरातल पे उतरे, सही मायने में जनता को उसका लाभ दिखे, जो कि मुझे लगता है कि इस रेल बजट में पूर्णता से पूरी तरीके से दिखता है।
You saw that at the end, a number of MPs stood up protesting because normally in a railway budget they're used to hearing very specific proposals, particularly for their constituencies and in their areas, and there was no such thing. So it seemed more of a corporate presentation of plans and intentions and proposals, mainly on paper and not enough concrete proposals for actual change in railway services on the ground.
So I'm also happy moving towards a massive provision for bio-toilets, also part of the Swachh Bharat campaign, and instead of being populistic, the minister is trying to make railways more popular by taking realistic measures.
मेरे हिसाब से बजट नहीं आया और बजट में क्या होता है? बजट में होता है a statement of vision. ये बजट होता है statement of vision. ये statement of illusion है और मुझे लगता है आज के बाद ये देखते हुए रेलवे बजट को बंद कर देना चाहिए.
Last year was the budget, rail budget was a zero. This year the rail budget is a zero. 0 plus 0 is a big zero. And even the freight rates and the passenger fares were already increased earlier, so they were not announced today. So it's a 0-0 budget.
He seems to be bringing a management expert's attitude towards the railways, which such as to improve efficiencies, add new services for senior citizens, for women, technological services like Wi-Fi, bio-toilets, all of this we will welcome. But the fundamental question remains, any MP will have this question as to what is being allocated for their states and their regions.
पूरा रिपैकेजिंग आप देखो, हर चीज रिपैकेजिंग है, कोई नया चीज लाए आप खुद देखो। ये बुलेटिन के बाद हम लोग की कहे थे, ये लोग ऐसा डंका बजा था कि ये लोग खुद बुलेटिन के लिए बात कर रहे हैं, ऐसा महसूस हुआ था लोगों को, लेकिन आज देखिए सब उड़ गए हैं।
ये सरकार जन भावना की अनदेखी कर रही है। जनता के रोष इसलिए तो बढ़ रहे हैं कि उन्होंने जो वादे किए थे उस वादे को पूरा करने की बात थी, उसको फिर से दोहराने की बात थी। उसके बजाय वो मैनेजमेंट स्कूल से या कोई भी पावर पॉइंट प्रेजेंटेशन से जो शब्दावली निकलते हैं, वो शब्दावली के घेरे में वो अपने चेहरे को छुपाने की कोशिश कर।
ये मोदी सरकार भारत में रेलवे ही था लाइफ लाइन, आम आदमी से लेकर सभी के लिए। ये बिल्कुल पटरी से उतर गया इस भाजपा के राज में रेल विभाग। रेल का अपना घरेलू खर्चा भी उठाने का पैसा नहीं है।
And the common man too seems to be giving mixed reactions to Suresh Prabhu's budget. While there is a collective sigh of relief that fares were not increased, there was also some criticism. Take a look.
किराया नहीं बढ़ाया और कुछ बढ़ाया ही नहीं, तो इसका इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर या और सब सुविधाएं कैसे बढ़ाएंगे, ये सोचने वाली बात है।
इसमें कुछ एक चीज़ें ऐसी बताई गई हैं कि जो सीनियर सिटीजन्स के लिए भी सीट्स हैं प्लस कंफर्म्ड सीट्स मिला करेंगी, और आने वाले कुछ टाइम में बाय द ईयर एंड प्रोबेबली वाईफाई स्टेशंस हो जाएंगे 100।
जो रिजर्व सीटें उन्होंने रखी हैं वुमेन्स के लिए, वो अच्छी बात है।
जहाँ तक किराया नहीं बढ़ाने की बात है, पहले ही रेलवे इतना किराया बढ़ा चुकी है कि अब उसमें और कुछ बढ़ाने की गुंजाइश नहीं है।
पिछले 20 साल से मांग करते आ रहे हैं कि हमें रेलवे एम्प्लॉय का दर्जा दिया जाए, डी ग्रुप में सम्मिलित किया जाए, कार्य चाहे हमें इसी स्टेशन पर यही कार्य करवाया जाए, मगर जो हमारी मांगे थी उसमें से एक भी मांग की तरफ उनका ध्यान नहीं गया।
ड्रेस चेंज करने से हमारा कोई वजन नहीं हल्काया, या 30 किलो कर दिया हो उसने, वही 40 किलो वजन में कोई फायदा नहीं हमारे लिए मेडिकल नहीं, हमारे लिए बच्चे के लिए पढ़ाई की सुविधा नहीं।
All right, now on to Rajya Sabha, and today the union government defended the action taken by Delhi police in the JNU controversy and the incidents of violence that took place inside the Patiala House Courts complex. Although Home Minister Rajnath Singh said that if there were lapses on the police's part, action would be taken. The opposition, however, came down heavily on the government for defending those involved in the Patiala House Court incident, saying that the accused are being let off easily.
Replying to the calling attention motion on the breakdown of law and order in Delhi, the Home Minister and his deputy defended the action taken by Delhi police in the JNU controversy and the incidents of violence inside Patiala House Courts.
पटियाला हाउस कोर्ट की जो घटना है बहुत ही दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है, उसकी मैं निंदा करता हूं। पहले भी निंदा किया था और आज भी मैं निंदा करता हूं। जो भी विधि सम्मत है वह कार्रवाई हमारी दिल्ली पुलिस ने की है। जेल में है कि बाहर है, इसका फैसला जो भी करना होगा, आरोप जो लगे हैं वह सही हैं या गलत हैं, जो भी फैसला करना होगा यह तो अदालत करेगी। वैसे हमारी सरकार का जहां तक प्रश्न है, पुलिस के इन्वेस्टिगेशन के काम में हम कभी भी हस्तक्षेप नहीं करते हैं।
इंसिडेंट्स इन द जवाहरलाल नेहरू यूनिवर्सिटी, a group of many students in the university tried to vitiate the atmosphere, but it remained limited to the university premises. The Delhi police...
No, please, sit down. No, you proceed. You don't look at that.
The Delhi police,
Mr. Minister, you
while
proceed.
exercising restraint in the Patiala House Courts premises, did not use force because there was a full possibility of stampede due to limited space in the court premises, and use of tear gas would have interfered with the working of the court.
Earlier, opposition leaders cutting across party lines came down heavily on the government, alleging inaction in the Patiala House case. They also talked about the inappropriate action in the JNU controversy.
This government has allowed the rule of law and order in national capital to collapse by encouraging, sponsoring and supporting violence and unlawful activities and attacks on citizens, even in the precincts of the courts and outside the courts, on media persons, on teachers, on litigants, and hooligans have been let loose to violate the law. No action has been taken for long.
Answer to us.
how this violence took place. Unless there was some support from the political masters.
Okay.
In the all-party meeting, I told the Prime Minister, I believe in straightforward talk. I ask you, without the political masters' approval, Delhi police could have remained silent.
Okay, K.C. Tyagi, please.
As mute spectators.
All right.
You answer this.
Attacks in the Patiala House courts were pre-planned, and there were bouncers who were sent in the lawyer's uniform. They were sent in the lawyer's uniform. Therefore, as far as lumpans and the goons, gangsters start teaching patriotism, the situation becomes very dangerous. शौके सितम से आप जरा बाज आइए, दिल का नगर जला के न दिल्ली सजाइए, झुलसे न हाथ आपके खुशबू की आंच में, फूलों का रंग देख के धोखा न खाइए।
मापदंड एक सा होना चाहिए। अगर कोई कश्मीर से आकर नारा लगाता है वो भी दंडनीय है, और अगर कोई यहाँ नाथुराम गॉडसे को गांधी की हत्या करने वाले की पूजा करने की कोशिश करता है, महिमा मंडित करने की कोशिश करता है, तो वो भी दंडनीय। उस पर क्या कार्रवाई हुई?
Home Minister Rajnath Singh defended the role of Delhi police but also assured members that strong action will be taken if there has been any lapses on their part. He also lauded the efforts of Delhi police in maintaining law and order in the national capital. Vishal Dahiya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the government and opposition members today exchanged barbs in the upper house during the discussion on the controversy surrounding JNU and the Hyderabad Central University. While the main opposition, the Congress and left parties, demanded a House committee for inquiry into the matter, the ruling BJP clarified that it is not against rival ideologies but will not tolerate anti-national activities.
Initiating the debate on the situation in the central institutions of higher learning, including JNU and Hyderabad University, CPIM leader Sitaram Yechuri accused the ruling party of trying to suppress dissent and impose its ideology. Leader of opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad also urged the government to desist from the issue of nationalism to create divide and demanded the setting up of a House committee to examine the developments in various central universities.
हम एक मांग करते हैं कि एक हाउस कमेटी होनी चाहिए और विपक्ष का, और हाउस कमेटी होनी चाहिए हमारी, और विपक्ष का कोई भी लीडर उसका चेयरमैन होना चाहिए, और जो फंक्शनिंग ऑफ यूनिवर्सिटीज का देखे कि जिस तरह से ये एबीवीपी के नाम पे पूरे देश को बांटा जा रहा है और स्टूडेंट फ्रेटर्निटी को बांटा जा रहा है, उसको देखे।
हमारे लिए भगवद गीता, हमारे लिए बाइबल, हमारे लिए कुरान, ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है सर, ये, और इस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के चलते हुए जो अधिकार हमें देते हो आप, अब इसके अंदर कोई विरोध करता आपकी नीतियों का, कोई अगर नारा उठाता है कुछ आपके खिलाफ, वो देशद्रोही है।
Finance Minister and Leader of the House Arun Jaitley intervened in the debate, defending the government. Clarifying that the ruling party and the government is not averse to their ideologies, Jaitley, however, said anti-national activities will not be tolerated.
Of course, what happened in Patiala House is condemnable. But vandalism is condemnable, sedition is free speech. Nobody can subscribe to this ideology, and least of all should ever the Congress party subscribe to it.
While BSP reiterated its demand of including a Dalit member in the inquiry committee looking into the suicide of Rohit Vemula at HCU, members from other opposition parties also expressed their concern at the recent events in JNU and HCU.
JNU के अंदर देश के खिलाफ जो नारे लगे अक्रॉस पार्टी लाइन, वो गलत है। उनकी निंदा होनी चाहिए, उनकी भर्त्सना होनी चाहिए, वो आगे न लगें, इसके इंतजामात सिर्फ जेएनयू में ही नहीं, सब जगह सब राजनीतिक शक्तियों को करने चाहिए, सरकार को करने चाहिए, सब देश के प्रति प्रेम रखने वाले नागरिकों को करने चाहिए।
जो न्यायिक जांच आयोग बना है, उसमें शेड्यूल कास्ट का अपॉइंटमेंट होना निहायत जरूरी है, ताकि दलितों में न्याय के प्रति विश्वास बढ़े। और दूसरा मेरा निवेदन यह भी है कि जिन 6 आरोपियों को एफआईआर में नामजद किया गया है, सरकार उनके खिलाफ क्या कार्रवाई करने वाली है।
चाहे जेएनयू कैंपस हो, चाहे मुंबई हो, चाहे कलकत्ता हो, चाहे लखनऊ हो, हर जगह पे एक ही मापदंड अपनाना चाहिए। सर, सरकार ने जेएनयू के बारे में जो एक्शन ली है उसका हम समर्थन करते हैं।
हरिजन एट्रोसिटीज एक्ट के तहत दत्तात्रेय के खिलाफ और 3 और लोगों के खिलाफ मुकदमा दर्ज होता और वो फ्रीली घूम रहे। मैं चाहता हूं कि एससी एक्ट को लेकर के जिस वक्त कोई दलित अपने ऊपर जाति का मुकदमा दर्ज करे 24 घंटे के अंदर उसके हाथ में हथकड़ी होनी चाहिए, वरना क्या फायदा इन कानूनों का। वहां पे जिनके खिलाफ एफआईआर दर्ज करी उनके खिलाफ कोई भी कार्रवाई अब तक नहीं हुई।
This short duration discussion was scheduled for Wednesday but was deferred due to slogan shouting by BSP MPs, which also led to repeated disruptions in the House. With Navvikram Singh, Vishal Daya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And of course, before the House was adjourned for the day, this is how HRD Minister Smriti Irani defended the government's actions.
Yetturi sees his party as a private agency. My humble apologies, Mr. Yetturi, I'm quoting Rohit. These are not my words. And he's waiting until this amendment is made so that he would convince his party to take Dalits into leadership. Or he is just of the feeling that private sector will be damaged automatically if one's industries are compelled to take Dalits into theirs. The Vice Chancellor of Haryana Central University, appointed on the 28th of February 2009, sir, was the DUSU and NSUI President, Mulchand Sharma ji.
All right, more news now. Looking ahead, in fact, to the union budget, which of course will be presented on Monday, the 29th of February, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has a gigantic task ahead in this year's budget. He needs to provide adequate capital to public sector banks to help the economy sustain a 7% GDP growth. But reports of an alarming rise in bad loans of public sector banks have complicated matters. Here's a report.
Bad news from the banking sector is complicating the finance minister's job. Bad loans of public sector banks are expected to touch 4 lakh crore by the end of this financial year. This is after public sector banks wrote off bad loans worth 1.14 lakh crore in the last 3 years. The finance minister's provision of 9,500 crore rupees last year to shore up the capital base of PSU banks fell woefully short.
If you have that kind of an investment in the economy, then you will see that a lot of the infrastructure related deficit that we are still grappling with will start getting addressed.
The RBI estimates that public sector banks need 2.4 lakh crore rupees by 2019 to meet Basel III norms to strengthen capital requirements of banks. The government plans to provide 70,000 crore rupees in the next 4 years. But public banks will still fall short by over 1.7 lakh crore rupees. Last year, the government announced rainbow reform to improve the situation. But things have only gone from bad to worse.
I think it's very important for the government to increase the public expenditure even at the cost of relaxing the FRBM target. And we have not achieved till now, not in a single year we have achieved the FRBM target since 2003. But I don't really understand why we are sticking to this number.
One option for the government is to dilute its stake in public sector banks to 51%. But that might not help raise capital for public banks with weak balance sheets. In the last budget, Arun Jaitley announced that bank boards could bring professionals from private sector, but that also didn't work well. This time he wants to empower banks to recover bad loans.
Now, if that requires relaxation of the deficit, what I mean is if the government has to borrow to invest, it could be a worthwhile option to look at.
Last December, Jaitley introduced the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2015 for the time-bound resolution of bankruptcy issues. It calls for corporate insolvency to be resolved within 6 months, with a likely extension of 3 more months, a step that's hoped will free up banks' resources. Krishnanand Tripaঠি's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Right now, some more national news. And the Indian Army on Thursday arrested a Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist Sadiq Gujjar along with 5 of his associates from Baramulla district of Jammu and Kashmir. Gujjar was part of a group of 4 Fidaiin who carried out the attack on an army camp in Tangdhar in November 25th last year. He confessed to have set afire the oil depot inside the army camp and destroyed several vehicles before he was asked by his colleagues to leave. Sadiq, who is also claiming to be a juvenile, is a resident of Sialkot in Pakistan. He also revealed that after managing to escape to Baramulla, he was to meet other members of the terror outfit to carry out further attacks in Kashmir or outside the valley. The security forces recovered one AK-47 rifle, 5 rifle magazines, 150 rifle rounds, 6 grenades and a wireless set from the arrested terrorists. All right, now international news, and with a day to go for the planned ceasefire, details on how to monitor the cessation of hostilities in Syria still remains unclear. Syrian opposition has agreed to a temporary ceasefire of 2 weeks, but Turkey and Saudi Arabia question Russia's commitment to the deal. Meanwhile, the UN today carried out its first airdrop of aid in Syria, even as fighting in the suburbs of Damascus continued.
Syria's main opposition has agreed to support a temporary 2-week truce as part of a US-Russian brokered plan to end fighting. On Tuesday, US and Russia agreed on a cessation of hostilities between the Syrian government and groups fighting it in a deal that excludes Islamic State militants and the Al-Nusra Front. The agreement called on all sides to sign the deal by midday on February 26th and to stop fighting by midnight.
Вчера военному атташе при посольстве США в Москве были официально переданы все контактные данные горячей линии. Это основной резервный канал, как это было предусмотрено российско-американскими соглашениями о прекращении огня в Сирии.
Syria blames the US for the ongoing conflict. However, US President Barack Obama remained cautious about a diplomatic plan.
Cautious about raising expectations on this. The situation on the ground is difficult, but we have seen modest progress over the course of the last week or so with respect to humanitarian access to populations that are threatened.
With Russian airstrikes still continuing, Turkey and the Saudi-backed Syrian opposition remained skeptical about Russia's commitment.
It is very important that Russia and other parties stick to this agreement, since Russia is a member of the Security Council. We hope that they're, serious about it, because we have really doubts, and we do not, to be frank with you, we do not trust Russia, we do not trust this regime.
Meanwhile, fighting between opposition and government forces continued in the suburb of Damascus as UN planes airdropped 21 tons of humanitarian aid deliveries to Deir el-Zor, where nearly 2 lakh civilians are living under siege.
The second and last part of the deliveries is tentatively planned for 28th February. The United Nations have supplies ready to be loaded and delivered.
In the 5-year civil war, 250,000 Syrians have been killed and the ensuing refugee crisis has hit Europe. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And that's all we have for you on the news tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.